And let's just start with the quarterbacks, Cody, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. And Ari and I talked a lot about John Mateer at Washington State when he went to the portal. He's going to Oklahoma following Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator who's only 29 years old, who was at Washington State with Mateer. Cody, what is it about this? He's a Texas guy. So, like, right. I know you worked in the state of Texas. You worked at Texas Tech. What was this guy coming out of high school, and how did he wind up at Washington State?
Right. I think it's an issue of, and I think this is a quarterback issue across the board with college programs signing kids out of high school, is that this kid was a late bloomer in terms of high school starter. And what happens is a lot of these blue blood programs fill up on quarterbacks before these guys even start, some of them before they even play their junior year of high school. And for someone like John Mateer, who didn't necessarily go to a lot of camps, show his face at a lot of these events or anything in the off season, John Mateer was just playing ball, and he had a solid senior season. He ran the ball a lot. A lot of what you see on Saturdays is the same guy you saw on Fridays. It's not like he was 5'8", 160, and physically.
It's not a Josh Allen situation where he just grew.
It's really not. And I just think it's a matter of teams filling up at the position before he could, even get his eyes on tape. And that's unfortunately a lot of people's issues when they played Washington State this year, is they had to deal with this guy, and he is a flat out gamer, Andy. I mean, this dude is fun to watch. I don't know how many folks turned on the CW to check out Washington State this year, but if they did not, they missed out on a treat.
Prize Picks, of course, the best daily fantasy game in America. Play $5, get $50 instantly. Use that code STAPLES when you do it. They've got all the bowl games. They've got NFL, which, by the way, you got Christmas Day games. You got Patrick Mahomes on Christmas Day. You pick at least 2 squares. The more squares you pick, the higher the potential payout. Prize Picks. Use the code STAPLES. Play $5, get $50 instantly.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's really fascinating too, Cody, because like when that happens and teams take players at the quarterback position when they're sophomores, you have a higher likelihood, I think, sometimes of like burnout rate, because if a player is who they are as a sophomore and you're expecting them to get better their junior and senior year and then they don't, then that might be a higher miss rate. I do miss the days of like play well your senior year, get an offer type of a deal. But then at the same time, too, there's players who weaponize that, right? Like there's 3 teams or 4 teams that are in a spot where they need a quarterback. There aren't that many available because everyone's committed.
Brock Purdy did that.
Jackson Dart did it, right? Like Jackson Dart at the end of his tenure, or at the end of his recruitment, had no offers yet. And then he blew up and then could basically pick where he wanted to go, where he might not have been able to do that.
Dylan Gabriel did that too.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah, Go ahead.
Go ahead. Quarterback recruiting is just bizarre to me because I've seen people take freshman commitments and I've seen people take senior commitments, and I wonder what the actual hit rate would be from people who wait longer into high school careers.
It's tough, man, because like you said, the other part of it, I think that's brutal and it's sort of difficult to project, which is what makes taking sophomore players, these all-American kids that are sophomores or freshmen in high school, it's a dice roll. You don't know how that kid's going to physically develop if you're taking a high school commitment at 14, 15 years old. That's a lot of change to a human being throughout their high school career. And ultimately what happens is these programs have to take a risk, and they have to get their quarterback in the boat, because having a quarterback in the boat makes life a lot easier when you're recruiting other positions, specifically skill positions, because, hey, it's really nice to be able to sell, hey, we got this top 3 ranked quarterback in the country in 2027 or whatever high school class that is now, and you should be able to play with them. You want to play with one of the top signal callers in the country? And it helps make your life easier in recruiting, but does it necessarily equate getting a dude when the time comes after his senior season? I don't know if it's that 1-to-1 of a ratio.
Do you think it's going to slow down because of the portal? This is like the emphasis of like, I need to have somebody locked up 4 years in advance goes away when you can just get John Mateer to Oklahoma. Like, think about how much brain power was on the Jackson Arnold recruitment and like how it all turned out. It's like, I wonder if there's going to be a regression back to the mean when it comes to when do you evaluate kids? Like, cause like, I always thought it was weird. Like You're evaluating a person who hasn't gone through puberty yet.
Right. Yeah, I think to your question, Ari, it's a matter of if you got the funds to do that, by all means, take your time. Because if your goal is like, hey, we're gonna money whip somebody when they enter the portal, then by all means, if you got the funds, go for it. But I do think ultimately having that guy out of high school allows you to recruit other positions more efficiently, and it gives you more solidity towards your future in terms of saying, hey, we have a guy in the wings. We know what we have. Now, granted, you can mess that up if that kid enters the portal or you bring in another name, and, you know, it can make things dicey, but ultimately you got to play both sides.
So
There's
Jackson
no
Arnold,
guarantees.
Jackson Arnold now at Auburn. Mateer comes in at Oklahoma. What is Oklahoma getting in Mateer, and how does it change Oklahoma's offense?
Yeah, I think he's dynamic as hell. And really, he's the modern quarterback that I think more and more teams are starting to rely upon and finding success with at this level because he's extremely accurate. He takes care of the football. He does an excellent job of manipulating the pocket and escaping pressure, but he's truly a dual threat guy. You can scheme him up in the run game. He has the ability to score every time he touches the football. And of course, you match him up with his coordinator this past season, right? Ben Arbuckle, which you mentioned. And I think Oklahoma will see a completely different offense than they did this past year. Yes, because Mateer and Arbuckle will help with that, but ultimately they have to fix the O-line and they have to get these receivers healthy. However, having a proven gamer like a guy like John Mateer only helps the offense moving forward.
I actually did watch the CW, by the way. They show old episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. That show's electric. I don't know if you ever watched that growing up, but it used to scare the shit out of me.
Who doesn't love Robert Stack? Come on.
Yeah.